Well, if you're watching this video, your Facebook ad performance might look a little bit like this, where some days performance is phenomenal and you feel like you are absolutely balling. And then the next day you are, instead of balling, you're bawling your eyes out because performance is so bad. And we like to call that the zuck roller coaster, where again, you are going up and down through performance. And if you have felt this and you don't understand why this is happening and you're just punching air because Meta just needs to figure it out, well, in this video, I'm actually going to, number one, help you understand what I think is causing that. And again, this is not 100% accurate. There are a lot of things that go on, but at the end of the day, I've been able to work with over 300 plus Shopify brands now. I consult actively over 260 and oversee probably about 40 or $50 million a month in sales from our community. And I also personally manage with our agency well over $1 million every single month in ad spend for our clients. And so I've definitely seen a thing or two about roller coaster performance. With all that said, let's just go ahead and get straight into the video. And by the end of it, again, you should have a strategy to be able to apply into your business to scale. The first thing is, what is roller coaster performance? Well, I kind of explained it, but again, if you need an unfortunate example, here is a perfect example of it, where one day you check your ad account and you spent $3,000, you got 11,000 back at a 3.7, and things are phenomenal, right? Things are going great. They're crushing. Everything is good, right? And you're expecting now to go and buy a penthouse based off of the amount of profit that you made today. But then if you go to the very next day, all of a sudden performance falls completely off a cliff. And now with basically the same amount of spend, we have half of the revenue at a 2.27x return on ad spend, and our CPA just completely ballooned. Okay. We didn't change anything. We didn't launch any new ads. We didn't do a new offer. We didn't do anything. It's just all of a sudden the next day our performance is terrible. Now, why is that happening? Well, the first reason that I want to mention, and it's actually not a reason that's on here, so technically it's reason number 0, is that if you do have a smaller budget, so if you are spending less than $1,000 a day, we have noticed that a lot of brands with smaller budgets typically are a little bit more roller coastery because of the fact that you just aren't getting enough data for Meta's platform. And so if that is you, or for example, maybe you have a bit of a higher AOV product as well, you might see some more roller coaster performance just because you're not giving the platform enough data. That is the first thing, okay? But if we actually go back into the slideshow now, the real number one reason that is leading to your roller coaster performance is actually because we don't sell the robots, okay? And if you're familiar with the channel or you've heard me talk about this before, this is a saying that I basically made up because it is very, very accurate, okay? And again, this is something that we can't control. At the end of the day, we sell to real people with real emotions, with real things going on. And even though it feels like when we're looking at all these analytics where our CPC and AOV and CPM and ROAS and conversion rate and all these types of things, behind all of those numbers are actual real people. Now, a lot of times it feels like we're selling to robots because you just press a button and all of a sudden your budget is spending 2x and you're just printing more money and it's really like peak dopamine. But the point is that we do not sell the robots, okay? Sometimes people are just not in a buying mood. They, for example, maybe just paid a tax bill. Maybe they had to buy gifts. Maybe it was like an anniversary and they had to spend money, or they had an incident happen. There's just things that happen to humans that make us kind of more emotional or make us not in buying moods or make us really high buying moods. Now, at the end of the day, I try not to use this as cope. And if you don't know what cope is, copium is basically where you're blaming everything but your strategy for why your results suck. But the point is that we don't sell the robots, and that is something that you need to understand. We can't expect everything to be automatic all the time. Now, the second reason why we have a lot of roller coaster performance is actually the market itself. And again, this is something that we can't really control, all right? The market itself is unsteady and people are scared, right? You guys have seen this probably now more than ever, that people are extremely scared, okay? There's stocks that are crashing, crypto is crashing, 300% tariffs there. Now the next day it's this, and then after that it's that. You know, there's just so much going on in the market that a lot of people just like don't really know what's going on and they get scared, and so they kind of hold up their spending. Another example of this is just a new competitor comes onto the market with a better mechanism, right? You might be cruising along doing your thing, and then all of a sudden there's this new company that comes out with a way better product, and now everybody's buying that. And maybe you didn't pay attention, or maybe you don't know about the competitor, and you're like, why is my performance all of a sudden going down? Well, it's because they likely have a better mechanism than you, and now they're basically taking all of your customers, and Meta is going to continue to reward them because they're probably giving a better customer experience to the people on the platform. And again, you need to understand that Meta's goal is to provide the best customer experience possible for the users on its platform. So if somebody else is selling a phenomenal product, it's getting tons of engagement, tons of likes, tons of shares, and people are having a really good experience with that brand, they're going to beat you in the auction every single time. Why would would Meta serve your ads when it's less superior compared to a brand that is doing a lot of good and maybe even just has a better product than you, right? And that's part of the game. That is a real reason of why some months you're on top and other months you're doing terrible, because there could just be a shift that happens in the market from a competitor standpoint. Another reason why is, again, a competitor maybe with a similar product to you, nothing really new mechanism wise, just launch a better offer and that beats you, right? There could be someone out there where you are maybe doing a 30% off sale and your product's $40, but then one of your competitors starts running ads that are, again, going after people who are product aware, saying, hey, we're $30 and we're just as good as these guys. Well, you're going to lose a lot of the market, because a lot of the market is going to go with value, right? We're very incentivized by value. It's the example that I like to give is if you saw a Ferrari for $10,000 on Facebook Marketplace and it was brand new, would you find a way to get that $10,000 to buy the Ferrari? Of course you would. And why would you do that? Because of the value discrepancy, right? You know a Ferrari is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, yet someone's selling it for $10,000. You'll do whatever it takes to go and get that, right? So it's, again, it's all based on value. And so a lot of the times you might have a competitor who is just beating you on an offer standpoint. And again, when you're in that rat race of trying to have the best or the highest value offer, it becomes extremely hard. But again, if you look at companies like Temu, they blew up into billions and billions of dollars because they just sell things for really cheap. And at the end of the day, people like to see value. And if they can get something that's 70% as good or 80% as good for, you know, a tenth of the price or a third of the price, a lot of times people are just going to take that value. Now, the other thing on here is just some things that happen in the world. Again, there was a policy change that happened, or natural disasters. Policy changes, kind of like what I talked about with the tariff stuff, right? Interest rates, and that's not really my game, but even something as simple as the president tweeting or somebody else tweet. I'm not going to name drop, but you guys know who. And at the end of the day, if these things are causing people's emotions to go up and down, because again, we don't sell to robots, that is a real reason of why your performance can go up and down. And now reason number 3, if you ask me, is my favorite reason. And those first 2 reasons, or 3 reasons technically, I would say are more cope than anything. And if you're in Evolve, you know that we love copium and we love when people start their message with, I don't know if this is cope, but the main reason here is reason number 3 is your strategy. And the best part about this is that this is something that you can control. And so the reason why you actually have a lot of roller coaster performance outside of what I mentioned is sometimes because your strategy is flawed. And so to start this off, you need to understand the market itself, right? We talked a bit about the market, but you need to understand the things that are going on in the market. And so the first thing that you need to understand is the 5 stages of awareness. And so here you can see we have all the way on the left, unaware, and then we go into problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. And so if you watched my last week's video where I broke down how we scaled a brand to $10 million over 90 days, I touched a little bit on this, but I'm going to break this down even further here, because you guys need to understand that most of you are in this product and most aware stage. And what I mean by that is you're selling to people who are just in the market for your product, right? For example, if you lost your shoes, well, now you're someone that's in the market that needs a new pair of shoes. And there are going to be a percentage of people that happens to, but at the end of the day, how many people lose their shoe every day and then go and get new shoes, right? Like, not that many people. And so the point is this percentage of the market is very, 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 very small. And especially in the most aware stage, it's going to be even smaller because most people don't know your brand, right? They don't know who you are. And on top of that, they don't care. And so when you guys are advertising in this market, it is super, super competitive, and usually value is what wins. And so the issue is you're advertising to, you know, the 3% of the market, where the other 97% is just going to see your ad and not purchase, right? And so that is what causes a lot of these up and down swings. And so I'm going to break that down further in a slide coming up. But the next thing that you need to understand is also just the fact that over time that your market is going to get more sophisticated. So for some of you that maybe had a lot of success 2 years ago are now starting to go downhill, it's likely because your skepticism in your market has just continued to go up and up and up. And this is what happens to a lot of brands as well when a product starts doing really good. And a perfect example of this is like red light therapy. The brands who started this in 2017, 2016, they made so much money because, again, it was a brand new market. They can make any claim they want. It was a new mechanism and it absolutely crushed. And now if we get into red light therapy, it's almost in a level 4, level 5 level of skepticism and market sophistication, because so many people have just bought terrible products or have just bought the product and it didn't work for them. And then word of mouth spreads. And that's the thing with social media nowadays, word of mouth spreads even faster. And so the rate of skepticism and the rate of sophistication continues to increase even at a faster and faster rate because of how fast things can go viral or word can spread. Now, as much as it could go negative, it can also go positive. But the point is that your claims are getting overused and overdone with. And so a lot of customers customers are just skeptical of the claims that you're making. And then the final thing that you need to understand is the types of desires. And so sometimes a lot of you are going after evergreen desires and permanent desires, which you should be doing, but a lot of you are also going after trending desires as well, and you don't really know it. So for example, Valentine's Day, say in February, you did over $1 million a month and you absolutely crushed. Or if you're a supplement brand in January, you might have absolutely crushed it because everybody's in this new trending desire of like new year, new me. And then by the time you reach April or May, where we are right now, people have kind of fallen off, right? It's already summer. They're like, shoot, I missed my summer bod, whatever. And now that trending desire is not as high. And so what ends up happening with these trending desires, long story short, is that you are basically relying on people to stay in that demand, right? Like if you sell flowers for Valentine's Day, you're going to absolutely crush, but in May, you might not be selling as much. So the thing is if you maybe are a more of a trending desire business, then make sure you continue to jump on those trends. By the end of the day, that can also lead to very roller coaster performance just because of the fact that the desire is just not as strong during certain points of the year. Now that you understand the 3 core fundamentals of marketing, the main issue here that I want to talk about is back on the awareness level side of things. So if you are running product aware ads in a sophisticated market or on a trending desire, again, you are going to be on a roller coaster performance because you're just going with the market, right? Your hope, and again, I'm going to break this down, but this is a lot of the reason why you are struggling. And then when you add your strategy of what I just talked about with all the other craziness going on with the market and the fact that we don't sell the robots and maybe you're on a smaller budget, that is how your performance is just going like this, okay? It's just adding up and adding up. And at the end of the day, it is not a great strategy if you are trying to scale. Again, if this is how you're feeling, I'm going to try to help break all of this down, right? You're relying on people being ready to buy in your market. You're relying on people being on the platforms that you're advertising that day. You're relying as well on Meta serving your ad to the right person that day. You're also relying on existing competitors not launching any new offers. You're relying on new competitors to not launch a new solution. And you're going again with the ebbs and flows of the market. So everything that I said here is why you are dealing with roller coaster performance. But let's not talk about problems. Let's talk about solutions. So remember this? Well, this is where we're going to start. If you are able to climb up market into prom aware and unaware stages, you are going to be able to beat all of your competition. And the reason why is because you're going to be able to turn scrollers who are not really thinking about buying into customers. And that skill set is one of the most valuable skill sets that any brand can have. Okay. You are then able to take someone with zero intention on buying and getting them to buy, and not just buy in a couple of days, but getting them to buy today. And here's the strategy of how you do that. So the first thing is you need to climb up market. You need to target prom aware or unaware type of people, right? The next thing that you need to do is you need to create ads that educate scrollers. Okay. And you'll notice that point number 3 is basically the same as point number 2, but rather than educate, it's entertain. And the main point of this is you need to get good at storytelling. Okay. You need to be able to create stories that someone who again is just looking to be educated or looking to be entertained can stop and watch to learn more about whatever it is that you're going to talk about. And again, I'm going to break this down as well. And then from there, you need to create funnels that continue the customer journey. And on top of that, create offers that are too good to pass up on today. So let's jump into each one of these. And so what again, I want to focus on here is helping you understand the different levels of awareness. And we're going to focus on, for example, a brand that sells humidifiers. So most aware, save 20% on humidifiers, right? A lot of you guys are running those types of ads. And then we have product aware, which is the world's first stainless steel humidifier. Okay, great. Then we have solution aware. Maybe we do an us versus other humidifiers, right? And that's where a lot of you guys are advertising. And this is where a lot of beginners to Facebook copy all of the different types of ads that they see competitors running. And then they just can't understand why it's working or why it's not working. And then from there are ripping ads from TikTok that are prom aware and unaware, and they're the best ads on their account. And again, they don't understand why. But again, this is why they're the best performers, because they are more scalable, right? So instead of saying this is a humidifier, we're saying, are you not able to sleep? Well, it's actually not your bedtime routine. And now we're able to educate people who maybe have that problem. But even better, if we can tap into unaware, where we're able to create so much curiosity and create so much suspense in our ads, this is how you create hyperscalable ads where we start a hook with, you'll never guess what's floating in your air right now. Now, if you compare this headline to an us versus them ad, what do you think is going to get more attention? You'll never guess what's floating in your air right now, or us versus them humidifier, right? You might not even know what a humidifier is. You might have never even heard of it before because maybe you live in a super humid climate. But at the end of the day, if you stop and you see you'll never guess what's floating in your air right now, you're probably going to watch that. And if you create the ad the right way and you take them through each level of awareness, you actually might be able to get someone to buy a humidifier that didn't even know it existed. Okay. And so that is the power of unaware marketing and unaware headlines specifically. Now, let's talk about education, right? And this is where unaware style ads require so much education and so much research. Okay. And in order to educate people, you have to do research to educate yourself, right? And in Evolve, we have over 20 plus different modules that show you how to go deep and do research. But even if you want to check out our Evolve free program, which again, there will be a link below to check both of those out, you can actually see at least 7 or 8 of them in there that also will show you how to go and do research to educate yourself. Then once you educate yourself, it's very simple. You need to share those findings with your audience, because when you learn about your product and what it actually does and the functional outcomes that it provides, that means that you have more information to be able to scale, because you can start to create these unaware ads where it says, you'll never guess what's floating in your air right now. Every single day, if you're breathing in your house right now, the odds that you're inhaling 98% of X bacteria is extremely high, right? So you can start to tell these different stories, but at the end of the day, you have to do the research to understand that so you can go and share those findings with your audience, okay? And then from there, if you're doing educational style, you can also do entertainment style, because the thing that's so awesome about social media is people are on there to be entertained. And so rather than just throwing up an ad, you can start to create stories. And again, you can start to entertain people with high engaging ads. And one thing that I want to call out right away is that there is no such thing as too long with these ads, especially the educational ones and especially the entertainment ones. There's only too boring. And to emphasize this point, customers binge watch a ton of content, right? People will watch an entire 10 episode series in 2 days on Netflix. Where, for example, this is something that went very viral, I believe it was last year, where this girl did like a 20-part Who the F Did I Marry series on TikTok. Each video was 5 minutes long and people watched the entire thing. And now why are they doing that? Well, it's because it is entertaining, right? And if you can go and study videos that are incredibly entertaining, and every time a video hooks you in and you find yourself just watching a video for 20 or 30 seconds or even a minute, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And then from there, save it so you can build a swipe file of ads that just grab your attention and keep you locked in. And then ask yourself, why am I watching this? And the odds are is there's usually some form of suspense where you're waiting to see what happens next, or you're waiting to see what happens at the end. And a really, really great example of this is this video right here. So if you guys want to look up Who the F Did I Marry on TikTok, it's honestly a great video to go and watch to see how she storytells and see how she actually goes through this process and builds so much suspense and has all these twists and turns. And if you can master this and you can understand why specific ads are extremely entertaining to people and what the commonalities are, and you can apply that to your advertising, all of a sudden you go from just somebody who's saying, hey, buy my product, to, hey, here's a really entertaining or really educational story that is going to educate you on something new, or basically build trust and then bring you into my product, which I'm ultimately trying to sell. And so that is entertainment. And then the final two things on here are all about CRO. Okay. And so when it comes to building funnels, more importantly, congruent funnels, you need to understand that some people are not ready to buy right away. And so a lot of you are running these educational style videos or entertainment style videos, and then you're sending people directly to a product page. And the problem is they're just not ready to buy. And this is a phenomenal graph that we actually have from inside our Evolve program that someone actually shared in there. And it just emphasizes the point that if your ads are more unaware and more prom aware, and you're sending them to a collection page, product page, or home page, it's just not a good idea. And so if you can start to tap into some more advertorial style page builds or more listicle style page builds, when you're in this level of market awareness, you need to give people more information. And that is it. Okay. And so by just sending someone from an unaware ad to a collection page to buy a product, it's not really a great customer journey. And so it's super important to make sure that you continue the education, you continue the entertainment, or again, you just provide the information that is needed in a way that seems not as salesy, so that they have the trust in you and the belief in you, and it feels like it's coming from an authority, so that when they go and see the product, they're buying it from what feels like a non-biased person, right? And so at the end of the day, that is how you can create funnels that are hyper scalable, by just providing the information and again, providing the education that the person needs to know. And then the final piece of this is the offer. And I have 3 phenomenal examples here of what a high quality offer looks like. Rather, it's number One, just from a scarcity, an urgency, bundling multiple products, throwing out big numbers, giving people free things. At the end of the day, this is a phenomenal offer page from Miracle. Again, if you check this out on their main website, the actual price on the website I think is like $180 for the same product, but on this landing page specifically is $119, plus you get free pillows. And again, we're saying that this is a sale that ends at midnight, which again, it never does. But the point is this is a phenomenal way when someone goes through, has all this new information, and then they see an opportunity to solve this problem that they didn't even know that they had. Well, now they're really incentivized to purchase because this just seems like a deal that is too good to pass up on, right? Another great example over here is this brand over here that just does it with claims, right? No acne in 60 days or your money back. 97% of customers got acne free. And then they also have this incredible offer down here that says save 40% on your first order. And then to create urgency, we have a warning low stock notice here that says this product sold out 12 times last year, right? So now if you're someone that sees that there's zero risk, that there's a massive opportunity to save a lot of money, and then on top of that, that they might not be in stock, so you should probably order now. And this is obviously an offer, but more importantly, they have other things supporting this that remove risk and at the end of the day can help you scale massively. And another phenomenal offer that I want to showcase over here, you can see this brand is literally giving away product for free. You get to try it before you buy it. And so it says just pay for shipping and then you'll pay $49 after you try it at home. I mean, that is just an insane offer. And so for example, if you're someone that is selling a product similar to this brand and you're like, what is going on with my performance? You know, I'm selling this for $65, but I don't know what's going on. Apparently I can't scale. Well, look at this offer. You are just getting crushed from a value perspective. And this is why, again, it is so important to double down on having a phenomenal product. But at the end of the day, for my supplement brands out there, skincare brands out there that have high LTVs, this is just an example of an offer that is a complete no-brainer. And so when you combine all of these things together, that is how you can beat roller coaster performance. And rather than being on 5x to 0.5x roller coaster, which I want to give a shout out to ChatGPT for putting together, hopefully now you have a better understanding of what actually causes roller coaster performance and now what you need to do to be able to fix it. And so if you want more support doing this and you feel like you just got a lot of information, but you need a little bit more guidance and a proper structure, well, that's exactly why we have our consulting program, Evolve. It is actually the #1 community on all of Skool. If you don't know what Skool is, it's Alex Hormozi and Sam Levin's software platform. We are the biggest community on Skool. And so if you want to learn exactly how we are showing everybody in Evolve how to make ads that can beat roller coaster performance, well, there's a link below for you to go and check it out. Or if you happen to be a brand owner that has a very innovative product and you want to see if my team and I can come in and scale it for you, then I'd also encourage you to check out the second link below that will take you to our website over at Easy Media, where you can apply and see if you're a good fit for our team. With that said, we are very, very close to shutting our doors as we just recently onboarded a few new clients and we're not really looking at taking on anybody else. So it's going to have to be a super good fit. But with that said, if you are interested, feel free to apply down below. And with all that said, I hope you got a ton of value from this video. I hope this helped answer your questions around what is going on with your roller coaster performance, but more importantly, gives you a solution or gives you multiple solutions to go and start implementing for your business to try to beat it. Again, thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.